Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Megha. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show.
Hi, thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your time out to join me on this show. Megha, my first question to you is, can you walk us through your journey so far? The reason I ask this question is whatever we are at this point is because of all the little things that we might have intentionally or unintentionally done in the past 15, 20 years. So if you can go back as much as you want, like even from childhood, if you want to like recollect your story and then, kind of walk us through your journey up until here, that'll be great.
So, I had a comfortable childhood. I was a student who was always good in academics. So, my parents were a little relieved on that side that at least she studies and she's among the toppers of the class and all.
Right.
So, academically, I've always been good. Then, after school, then I pursued my computer science honors from Delhi University. And after that, I went abroad for a master's in finance degree from Scotland. So after that, I came back to India and I was like working with my father. So we have a family business of foreign consultancy in which we take care of the documentations and licensing and stuff. But even though that is my father's work and everything was treated like a princess at the office and all, but somewhere that part was missing in me to do something. I was not very creatively satisfied there. So I just happened to chance upon an opportunity to teach at this institute, and that was again I think for PPA at that time. So it so happened that my younger sister, was just going for an internship. She was already placed in EVA at that time, and she had one and a half month free. So she just got a chance that okay, I'll get an internship at this company. One and a half month I have to be there is something which is very near to my place, so I'll go. So I just went with her for her interview that time. And then she told me that, you know what, they have a opening for verbal faculty also. And you just need to work these times and then you can go to Papa's office. So I was like, who's going to teach? Like, I am a finance graduate. I was not looking at teaching as an option that time.
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm not teaching. Are you mad? Do you see myself as a teacher? It just requires so much patience. Do you think I have that much patience? But I don't know what stuck with my mother. She was so persistent that you just give your interview. And I did not prepare for anything because I was like, I'm not interested anyway. I just come because my mom has forced me. And I just went with zero expectation. They asked me some things that time, can you solve this question? How will you explain and everything? And I don't know what stuck with them. I got finalized within 10 minutes.
Okay.
They gave me the offer letter. And I was like, okay. And my mom was like, you go. You also go with your sister for one and a half. You don't like it, you leave. It doesn't matter. Every experience in life counts. So I was like, okay, chalo, we'll both the sisters will go together. And after when we'll do our work, we'll come back, we'll chill and everything. But it just so happened that when I went to the classroom for the first time, there was a bunch of students and they were like so enthusiastically waiting for me to come and teach them something and enable them to crack their entrance exam. They were so passionate and hopeful to go to such prestigious institutes that it just reminded me of me when I was in school. Right, like education is something which I really am very passionate about.
Right.
So I still remember the very first class I took, and it was I think a total of 8 to 9 students at that in that institute at that point, and I just loved those students. And those were I think 11th or 12th class students. They were preparing for their BB entrance exam.
Right.
And I don't know what changed in me. And after that, then I got finalized, and then I got another class and another class and another class. And I just kind of felt a sense of responsibility that even if I think in my head that I'm just going to do for 1 or 2 months, I'll do it very, very nicely because these students are perhaps pinning their hopes on me.
Right.
When they are paying the fees and coming to me as a teacher to teach them something,
Right.
imagine if I were in that position and I was paying the fees and my entrance was at stake.
Right. Right.
So that sense of responsibility just came in me the moment I entered that class. And I used to be very well prepared for everything, left, right, and center, anything the students want, even beyond the classroom, their doubts, their personal anxieties. Sometimes they used to come and share with me, ma'am, I don't know, I've done everything, I'm just feeling nervous, what to do. So the more I interacted with the students, the more enjoyable that act just became for me. So with something which started just as a hobby, maybe just for pocket money or something, it just became something which made me genuinely happy. So then after 2 months, then I started teaching for CAT. Then I started teaching for GMAT. So in my span of 8.5 years of teaching, I've taught for CAT, GMAT, I've taught for GRE, SAT and everything. But all exams being mentioned, GMAT remains my love. Because GMAT is something which is a highly logical exam. So then, when I thought of starting my own, there was no question in my head that I want to do private tutoring for GMAT only, of all the exams that I've taught for. So I've taught for all the exams extensively, but GMAT remains my love. So yeah, so over the then it just started. The journey just started. 8.5 years just flew. I just got another class and another batch, then bigger class because bigger number of students, and then I'm doing something. Then I'm working on the content, then I'm working on the online test, and I'm doing so much work. And I started getting so many offers from other institutes also to join theirs. Then I got increments, I got promotions, I got stuff like that. That I think it was just kind of meant to be for me. But the thing is that I put in a lot of effort, hard work. At my personal end, I never relied, oh, okay, people now come with Megha Gupta's name, so it's okay. Why should I improve? I still feel that I'm a student of GMAT, or I'm a student of any exam that I'm teaching.
Right.
Even though my students, I have sent my students to Harvard, Wharton, IIMs, but I still feel that I'm still learning as a teacher, and my students are teaching me. The interactions with the student tells me, "Ma'am, I'm facing difficulty like this." That keeps me thinking that I thought that this method is like this, but there could be somebody thinking like this also.
Right.
So how do you help that student out? Then more questions, more questions, more questions. It gives you a sense of what the students' personal anxieties could also be regarding the exam.
Right.
Like students want to study but they don't have time. How do you help them?
Right.
Right? Some students might have a fees issue. How do you help them? Right? So all of those things then started. It just started me to think that one aspect is the content aspect of teaching.
Right.
But I think if you want to be a good mentor, it goes way beyond the content that you teach. Right? And when you have that connect with your students, I think if you do good work, the work comes to you.
Great. Megha, one of the things that you spoke about, I just want to, learn more about this. You said of all the exams, GMAT remains your most favorite one, and
Yeah.
you've taught ACT, uh, CAT, and all, but you teach only verbal in all these tests. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So, in your eyes, right, from your perspective, what are these? How do these exams vary, and why do you say that GMAT is the most logical of all of them?
See, first of all, I started teaching only the verbal aspect of it, and then I just got so many classes just to teach verbal that even though I'm a finance graduate and I feel my quants is perhaps stronger than my verbal, but I ended up teaching verbal so much that that became my forte.
Right.
And like I got popular for that also.
Right.
So even though I think my maths is much stronger, but verbal is what I teach and I get inquiries for.
Right.
Then coming to your question, how these exams are different. See, if you primarily talk about CAT and GMAT right now,
Right.
the post-entrance exam for postgraduate exams in India, which is CAT, and for India and abroad is GMAT. They are very fundamentally different
Okay.
because the format is very different. For example, in CAT, you can skip questions.
Mm.
It's not compulsory to mark everything.
Okay.
In fact, it is usually suggested that there are some questions which are perhaps too tricky and the student should not attempt them because of negative marking.
Mm.
But in GMAT, it is a compulsory attempt, at least of the format that we are currently at.
Right.
Right? You have to attempt every question.
Okay.
So CAT is saying that I'm giving you these many questions. You decide what you want to do. GMAT is saying this is the data, this is the goal, and you have to do something, and you only have these 5 choices. What are you going to do?
Hmm.
So, do you see, apart from the number of questions, the timing, and all those things, those are all mundane details. But fundamentally, what the examiner is checking in the students is very different.
Right.
Right. So, for CAT, I feel the syllabus is still very wide in the sense that they get mostly reading comprehensions.
Mm-hmm.
If a student is good at that topic, because that's like 80 85% of it,
Right.
if a student is good at that, then the student has a very that the student has an advantage over all the other students who might be good in other parts of business or other parts of communication or English. But if this part is not correct, and that's 80-85%, the student is in problem.
Got it.
But GMAT has three things which are more or less equal in
Hmm.
weightage: critical reasoning, grammar as in sentence
Right.
correction, and then you have reading comprehension. It's a little bit more balanced at that point, right? So both exams very different, used in a very different way and used to check different things. I have also seen cases where students excel at CAT,
Right.
99 percentile or something, but they are miserable at GMAT.
Hmm.
And I've also seen the same some students who are very good in GMAT, 740, 750, but when they are taken the CAT, they were like 80 percentile, 75 percentile
Wow.
types.
Okay.
So the skill set is very different. Of course, we've had students who are great at both, right? But it is not compulsory that if you're great at one, you'll be great at the other.
Got it.
So the coaching for that, mentality required for that is totally different,
Got it.
right? Now, if I compare GMAT and GRE, again the mentality required is very different.
Right.
Because in GMAT, the idea is I've given you this data, this is what you need to do, and you have to do something, and these are the five
Right.
options. In GRE, it is more vocabulary based rather
Hmm.
than thinking based. You have to think, no doubt. It is logical, no doubt. But yet, truth is that GRE verbal is still very heavily focused on vocabulary and memorizing.
Right.
Whereas vocabulary doesn't have a very big role in GMAT.
Right.
So again, do you see GRE is used by business schools, but it is mostly used for masters in science
Science. Right.
degrees.
Right.
Right. In science, you need to have some mental capacity for memorization and for doing all of this work. But in management, you should be quick at making decisions and analyzing data.
Right.
So again, one student can be great at both. A student can be great at GMAT, not at GRE, is great at GRE, not at GMAT. But again, the schools and the programs that they have to apply for, because they need different skills from you. GMAT, GRE, CAT, everything is designed very different. And therefore, the coaching for them will also vary.
Got it, Megha. Megha, if you have to, for people who are looking at both CAT and GMAT, in your experience, if you've noticed one skill set which makes you great for GMAT and one skill set that sets you apart for CAT, can you nail it down to just one or two skill sets?
I think one very important skill that makes a student a winner is focus.
For both the CAT and GMAT?
Focus on,
Okay.
yes. I'm not saying focus on the question, but focus on the end goal.
Okay, right.
The student who has the focus that I have to get a 99 point this thing in CAT,
Hmm.
I have to get it and I'm willing to make the sacrifices and the effort for it.
Right.
This student will excel CAT. And same mentality goes for GMAT or for any other exam, I feel.
Got it.
If a student is dedicated and clear in his heart about what to do, okay, one thing is, let's say you have students come to me and said, ma'am, my elder brother went to ISB and he got a GMAT 740. Now if I don't get a 700 plus and go to ISB or something similar, I'm going to be like the bad kid of the house, so I have to do it because my brother has just nailed it. You have that sibling pressure sometimes and stuff like that. The student has this goal set by other people for him,
Right.
right? But when that goal comes from your heart, that will make you a winner, whether it is CAT or GMAT or any other exam. Okay, so I feel the first thing is focus and clarity about what you want to do and why you want to do
Right.
it, right? Second thing, of course, you might have the clarity, you might have the want, but you should be willing to put the effort also,
Right.
right? If you took a class and that requires, let's say, 1 hour of homework, make no excuses in the next class why you haven't done the homework.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying that the record of doing the homework will be 100%. Sometimes somebody could have a genuine emergency also. I could also have a genuine emergency as a trainer, right?
Right.
But that being said, the effort or the intention and determination should be 100% to complete the work.
Right.
So if a student is attending the classes 90-95% as scheduled, student is doing the required work, student is doing the doubt sessions regularly, I think that this student will do something great in his life, whether it is clearing CAT with a good percentile or GMAT or going to Harvard or anything he wants to do. So focus and actually putting the effort to do the homework and classwork.
Got it. Megha, you did your masters from Scotland, and did you have to
Yeah.
take one of these exams yourself, GRE or GMAT?
Yeah. I actually, can you skip this question?
Okay, sure, no problem. Uh, I'll also tell you the reason I asked you this question. Uh, just to you know find out if a trainer, because in the previous podcast, right, when I've spoken to GMAT
Hmm.
trainers, they've told you don't have to be a GMAT exam taker for you to be able to train people for GMAT. It is the knowledge about that particular topic. Of course, you need to know the format and all those things, but
Then if it is okay with you, can you ask this question to me? Because I have not taken the GMAT yet. My students have excelled at GMAT. So if you will ask me directly, have I taken the GMAT? No, because my university gave my admission on the academic and professional knowledge.
got it. In fact, I was
Yeah.
going to come here through that question, but I'll
Hmm.
rephrase it. That's
Okay.
absolutely no problem.
Okay. Okay.
So I will rephrase this question as a trainer, is it needed to take? Do you think it's important? Something like that. Okay, you can still let me know if that question is okay.
Yeah.
Megha, as a trainer, as a GMAT trainer, do you think it is important that the trainer needs to, you know, needs to have taken the GMAT herself or himself in the past, or do you think it's just the mastery over the topics that you teach is what matters? Because exam formats, I believe, you can always kind of get accustomed to it, right? What is your view on this?
See, if the trainer has taken the test himself or herself, that definitely adds to their knowledge.
Okay,
Because they know what is time pressure. They know actually if you're sitting with those anxieties and that, it's the D-Day and you have to score and you have to do these questions. So that's a very different game for just being able to solve the questions on paper or on screen in the
right,
class. Right? But I also feel it is not compulsory
right,
because I've seen a lot of trainers who are, let's say, if you're considering CAT, then they are 99 percentilers or they're GMAT 750, 770, some trainers who's even got 790, 800 on their GMAT.
right,
But just being able to get a GMAT 770, let's say, is not necessarily going to make you a good teacher.
right,
Because what makes you a good teacher is can you teach somebody else to think like how he or she should be thinking to solve that question.
right,
So the teaching or the training skill is very different from just being able to do the work myself.
right,
Right? That is the fundamental thing, and that I think the student should take as a criteria to kind of look for a good trainer. The trainer's credentials definitely matter. If this, let's say, if the trainer has GMAT 770, of course, then that means the trainer is very well versed with the exam. But can the trainer train you to get a GMAT 770? You should ask that.
right,
Right. So it is the trainer's qualities. But yes, I feel that even if the trainer may not have taken the exam, but they should be very well prepared. They must have taken enough number of mock tests and time settings to know whether what they are teaching is working or not. And if of course possible, then they can take the paper. It will definitely add value to their experience. But I feel it is not compulsory because I've seen both the cases. I've seen trainers who have not taken the exam, but they can train you for the
right,
exam. And I've seen trainers who have taken the exam and students enroll on the basis of their credentials. But actually, when it comes to getting trained by them, they have 100 problems after 3 months that the doubts were not catered to, the teacher did not teach them properly, or it was very complicated. Initially, as Indian students, we like the complicated stuff.
right.
Right? A student feels, oh, I'm doing something difficult, that means I'm doing something worthwhile. But I feel a good trainer is who can simplify the difficult for you,
Got it.
who can tell you all of this is superfluous, you just take these 4 points and study. But these 4 points, you master in 50 questions. These are the things you are going to come in an exam. If somebody can condense 4 hours of coursework in 2.5 works and yet get you the same result, I think that should be the criteria of a good trainer.
Got it. Megha, now from for the people who are listening or watching this, who are trainers and who are really good in quant or verbal, but who have themselves haven't taken any of these exams. Now, it's obviously a lucrative thing for anybody to be able to train GMAT and all these test prep things, right? So if you have to show them a map, a route where they can kind of whatever they are teaching now from a quant's verbal point of view, if they want to, get into teaching GMAT or any of these test prep, what are the 3 steps or 5 steps that they need to take for them to be able to reach there?
See, I think the first thing is to be able to see that if I know the content, am I able to train students or not? First of all, it should be that.
Right.
Okay? Not that I have a job which is paying me XYZ salary. Now I want to increase my salary. The coaching institute is not giving me that much, so let me start my own thing. I think if somebody has, and I see so many trainers having this mentality to go private,
Right.
that they feel that they want to make more than this.
Okay.
Now the company is not going to pay more than this because they also have a certain budget. So let me start and let me take individual fees. But I don't think that should be the criteria. I think the criteria should be that do you feel that you are not experienced enough to help more students? And how can you perhaps add a little bit more value to that training?
Megha, can I interrupt you here? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
If they are teaching in an academy that's good, who are teaching GMAT and all these test preps, why do you think that they may not be able to do the same on their own? I mean, I'm trying to understand what is it.
No, they definitely can do. They can definitely do great on their own also. I'm starting on my own. I think I'm doing a little okay right now. I'm hoping I'll do better
Right.
and keep on doing better in future.
Right.
But the idea is just this that you have to be a good teacher. You have to be a good trainer. That is fundamental.
Right.
But secondly, you also need to be able to take risk in life.
Right. Right. Got it.
Right, because right now, let's say when I was working with coaching institutes, there was a lot of work that I used to do. My calendar was packed out because so many students used to come to my batches. So I had batches after batches, and I used to making decent amount of money, I would say, right? But for me to have that, for me to leave that safety net, that okay, from next month maybe I will not have this fixed sum, and maybe I'll have to start now from zero and see where I go. So first thing is that you must have that risk taking capacity, and I feel a very important factor for any entrepreneur for that matter is to have an exit plan also. This is my thinking,
Right.
right? Whoever starts a business, they definitely have some flow chart, they have some thought process, there's something, some goals, right? But one should also be prepared that what if I'm not able to meet this? How much timeline can I give to myself? How much safety net in terms of even let's say for
Right.
finances? Because if I'm advertising, let's say, or if I'm setting up my website or I'm doing anything, I'm let's say taking Zoom premium account, that is also a paid
Yeah.
account. That's an expense for me,
Yeah.
right? The recordings and everything, that is my business expense. Can I bear those expenses? How long can I bear those expenses without feeling the pinch, without my family feeling the pinch of it?
Right.
If they start feeling the pinch of it, how long can they feel the pinch? Right? So I think a very clear assessment, I feel frankly, should also be the financial aspect of it.
Right.
Right? And then it should be a very calculated risk. Okay? I am not a person who would risk everything.
Right.
But at least I have my certain risk taking capacity that okay, this much willingness I have. That if I don't make something for these many, I think I should be okay.
Right.
Because that that gives me a lot of scope to do something new. It just makes me a little braver in my endeavor, I feel.
Right.
Rather than I feel the stress also that I have to do this much revenue, I have to have these many enrollments every month. Because I think if I have the stress of revenue and fees and all of those things, I think it will somewhere divert me from my core work, which should be teaching properly. So instead of working on my content, working on my teaching, updating myself of what are the latest trends going on in the domain, what are the latest mock papers, what are the changes in GMAT and everything, my focus and my stress will also always be okay, is the money coming in or not? How many students have enrolled or not? My focus, apart from my teaching or content, will go towards the marketing. So I think if you have a calculated financial risk, I think it will just give you more room to reinvent and do something which you really want to do, and then test it out bravely. Let me see if it works or not, right?
Right.
So I think that risk taking capacity, financial capacity, how much you can afford to take the risk for,
Right.
and I think somewhere a clarity calling from your heart. I feel if we have that calling from our heart, also, even if times are a little tough, let's say, for example, any business for that matter. For some months, you're not getting anything. There's no breakthrough. There's no revenue coming in. Okay, you let's say taken not not for me, but let's say I actually come from business family.
Right.
So, so I know all people around me are all businessmen or businesswomen. So that's why I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship also. So I know how frustrating it can get if for a long time you don't have the business not going as you expected.
Right.
But then to again have that determination to stay put and believe in your idea that it will work. Let me try for one more month and see how it goes. And in that 1 month that you're giving yourself, give it your all. Give it your all so that let's say tomorrow if you have to shut shop, you don't feel any regret that okay, there was this one thing which I did not try. Maybe if I would have tried it, it would have worked.
Right.
So try everything, whatever you want to do, right?
Right.
And then also have this thing that if it is not working, I have a big heart to maybe shut shop and then maybe start something new because I do have the skill.
Right.
I do have the skill, but maybe this idea is not correct and I can do something else,
Got it.
right? So not getting very, 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 very attached to something. Believe in yourself that you are a business person. One business idea might be failing, let's say, but doesn't make you a failed businessman or businesswoman. You can always do something new and maybe could make that small idea a bigger idea.
Right. Great. And Megha, for those people, okay, do academies, right, who train people for the tests like GMAT, GRE, do they hire trainers who themselves haven't taken up these exams?
See, it really depends
Okay.
because let's say Prep with Megha, we are collaborating with a lot of trainers these
Okay.
days. So we are planning to expand in a big way in the next coming
Okay.
months. So for me, the trainer has taken the test or not is not a criteria, but the criteria is definitely this: that can the trainer solve all the mock tests properly? Does the trainer have that attitude of genuinely helping out the students?
Right.
Can he actually deliver? And can he make my student, because the student is coming to me with my reputation, can he make my student excel and perhaps get the targeted score?
Right.
So for me, that is the criteria, not just that it is the teacher is a 750, scorer.
Got it.
He could be a 750. I don't care even if it's an 800 scorer. As long as he can't deliver to my student, I am not interested in hiring.
Got it.
Right? So I'm very clear about it. Can you help my student? That is my only criteria.
Got it. And according to the industry standards, what's the range of salaries these GMAT or verbal trainers can expect? Lowest and highest.
Actually, it will sound like a very diplomatic answer right now, but I really feel it really depends on the institute that you're working for.
Hmm.
It also depends on the institute. It depends on your experience. It also depends on that if you're good, how much business are you able to bring in by your word of mouth?
Oh, a trainer is also expected to bring in
Yes,
business.
kind of
Wow.
yes.
Okay. An academy expects that from the
Okay.
trainers as well. Okay.
It's kind of taken, even I didn't know that they, but when you like I have worked with a lot of companies, and personally also then you come to know about a lot of trainers in other companies. You just need to kind of develop a network in this domain. So it is not their job description, but what happens is if you are doing good work, somebody will say okay, go to this
Yeah.
center
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
this trainer is good.
Got it.
So you are bringing business for them
Right.
also.
Right. Interesting.
Right. So it's not expected, but it kind of just happens as a ripple effect. Right. And then if that is coming in, if they are able to get more revenue because of your name, then certainly you are in a position for a better ask. Right. And then it also depends on whether the coaching institute is able to afford your ask or not.
Right. Got it.
Are you getting my
Yeah. Yeah.
point?
Yeah. Totally. So just to put numbers to this,
Can I just pause for a bit? Somebody's at the door. Is it fine?
no problem.
Just give me a second. Yeah. Sorry for
No
that.
problem, Megha. Totally no problem. You can take as many breaks as you want.
Just
So just to put numbers for the sake of the listeners, if they're wondering. So let's say
Okay.
starting is somewhat somewhere around 50,000, and on the highest range, of course, depending on the business that they get, they can also get exorbitant amount, but that will not be a common thing, right? That'll be an
Hmm.
outlier sort of a thing.
Hmm.
But as an aspiration, can
Hmm.
someone aspire for, say, a start off, the lowest being 50K and the highest being 1.5 lakhs per month? Is
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the industry standards we can say?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay,
Easily. More than that, maybe.
great. And how many hours of work goes in on an everyday basis? And weekends, I believe, is important for them to work. Is that correct, Megha?
That is true. That is one disadvantage of our domain, that most of the students want to take classes on the weekend, because on the weekdays they
Right,
are occupied with the college work or their office work or something. So yes, if you want to make that kind of money every month, so you have to take classes, and then you'll have to have at least, I won't say like the weekend will be all packed, because it depends on the kind of work you're doing. You can have classes all day long if you are willing to do that, but at least some portion of the weekend needs to be there, needs to be reserved for your classes as well. At least some trainers, what they do, they just choose a day on a Saturday, Sunday, and they work on Saturday, but they take an off on Sunday. Some trainers do
right.
half days on both days. So let's say they on Saturday they just work till 12 or 1. Sunday evening they didn't do the whole thing. Or it just depends on trainer to trainer. And if a trainer is comfortably placed to, let's say they have the entire Saturday and Sunday devoted to GMAT, then that's great. So it really depends on trainer to trainer. But yes, if they have to make that kind of this thing, I would say the trainers should be mentally prepared to do some work at least on weekends. Or if they can pull off that number during the weekdays, that's great, but that's a little idealistic.
Got it. Got it. Because your students are not going to be available during the weekends,
Yeah,
because
see,
either
even
they're
during
working
the
or they're studying.
correct, even in those weekdays also, they want, let's say, a very early morning slot, or let's say after their office work. So you will have students who can connect with you in afternoons, and they're happy to connect in afternoon, because for them, let's say, they have taken an off from their jobs for 1.5 months exclusively to focus on GMAT and their admissions. So those students
Right.
actually want to connect in the noon or afternoon time, because let's say now the student will study all night, then maybe wake up a little late, and then they'll have their breakfast, and then they start with the next class. So you have to be a little open in terms of your working timings. It's teaching for entrance exams is not a 9 to 5 job. Let's be very clear with that.
Got it. Megha, now going back to your journey, you've had a solid 8-year experience working for other academies, and
Hmm.
then, you made a shift.
Hmm.
So, why did it take 8 years for you to start your own training business?
Actually, that's a very, very good question. That's a very interesting question, also. Actually, my parents have been and my siblings have been pushing me to, now start doing your private class. You get so many students from word of mouth only and everything. But I don't know. Somewhere I kind of just felt that I still needed to get more experience, get more exposure. I don't know why. Maybe I think I just settled in my comfort zone. I felt. But I still remember to this day when I was just contemplating that I want to kind of make a shift, but then all the things I was just telling you about earlier. But if I don't have a salary coming in now, so what will it be? And I used to make like okay good amount of money. So I was like that what am I will it be fine for us and everything. I still remember to this day what my husband said. He said, Megha, if not today, then when? And I think that just kind of just hit me so hard. I just That statement kept reverberating in my mind for a couple of days, and I was like, you know what, let's do this time. And then I officially resigned and I started, and I was like, okay, we'll see where it goes. If it doesn't go anywhere, we'll see. Exactly what I was telling you, I applied it to myself also, that I feel that even if I don't do this, I think I can do something in my life. So it's okay. Even if it will not work, I am still okay with it, because the 8 years journey was so, it is a very cherishing experience for me. And I could have done many other things. I had many other
Right.
parallel business ideas going, but still teaching and education is something which is so close to my heart, because it has just helped me immensely as a person also. That when out of all these things I had a choice of doing something, I had no doubt in my mind that whether I make more money or less money, But this is the work that makes me happy. If I have to do something, I want to do in this domain.
Great. So it's not that you weren't. Yeah, you were ready and you were not ready, but you were ready totally from a subject matter point of view. You had no problems. Not that you needed more
No.
experience. It's just that your mindset had to kind of get ready for
Yes.
going from a comfort zone to that
To
uncertainty zone.
little risky place. And again, why that happened? Because for me, the more I was working, I was getting recognized. I was doing more work. I was enjoying my work also. But then, on the other side, the kind of money I was making also kept on increasing with every increment, with every project, the number of batches I took, and I started doing more batches. So that the safety net that I had to leave, that became more and more comfortable
Yes,
so
yes,
that
yes.
was the thing with me. I was like, I'll be sure we can let go of this and then start from zero one more time. So yeah, initially, it was a lot of brainstorming at my end, but then I think I finally took the call because I think it was less for financial reasons or anything, but I think I just felt that now whatever I wanted to learn, not just in subject, but in terms of, everything related to this, I just kind of felt that I was at a point where I know what I want to know to move ahead. I just had that deep
Right,
sense in me. I think earlier I still kind of for subject it was fine. Subject matter skills I am still a student of GMAT, I say. Even after it is I think even after 80 years I will still be the student of the exam I'll be coaching for. Any trainer who thinks, oh, I'm the master, no, I know everything. I don't think that's the correct attitude. We should always keep on improving and keep updating ourselves. That's very, very crucial. But I think that I just felt that I needed to learn more. And once I felt in my heart that I have learned enough, then after that it
right,
was just like a financial decision for me. And after once I felt that I can actually go ahead with it, and when my husband said, "If not now, then when?" I was actually at that
right,
juncture in my life where if I would not have done it right now, I think for some years to come I would not have been able to do it either. So for me
right,
to have
right,
that sense that something which I have kind of a dream for is going to get delayed by 3, 4, 5 years, maybe. So I was like,
right.
I don't think that I will be able to stay in the same zone for the next 5 years. So might as well let's try this and let's see where it goes.
Got it, Megha. Very relatable.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very common feeling
Yes.
among all the people that have to leave a high paying job and
Yes.
then, kind of start from scratch. So, have you reached a point where you are back to making the kind of money that you were making at your peak?
Almost. Touch wood.
Great.
Almost. So yeah, but yes, that being said, like as I said, money is definitely a major decision making factor. Of course, we all need to
Yeah.
have we all have certain bills and expenses to pay for at the end of the
Yeah.
month, right? But then of course I feel that if you are skilled and if there's something which is a passion for you, okay, let's say for example for somebody technology is something that really excites them. This person will find something in technology to work with and make the money they want,
Right.
provided they are
Right.
passionate and skilled both. I could be passionate for football, but when I come to playing it, I'm miserable. Then, of course, I can't be saying that I'm very passionate about football, so I'll make this kind of money. Of course, you have to have those core skills also. But yes, I think at this point, I think I have been able to reach somewhat, not that exact, but somewhat that level. And I think in the short time that I've been working, if I've been able to reach that somewhat, I think that's great progress for me.
It's just a matter of time where you're going to probably double
Yeah.
yourself or something like that, I think.
I'm hoping
But
so. I'm hoping so. But then, yes,
yeah. The thing about doing something on your own is definitely, there's no limit, right?
yes,
Even when you are when you're the highest paid trainer also,
hmm,
there will be a certain limit, right?
correct,
I mean, you cannot, no matter what, you cannot cross a certain
correct,
boundary
correct,
or a certain barrier. But
correct,
I think when you do things on your own, I don't think there is any limit.
correct.
You can probably reach 10x, 20x and stuff like that.
Absolutely. See, for that
But
that you can't cross a stage in your job, I don't blame the companies also because they also have a certain budget. And they can't
yeah,
be giving a
definitely.
certain amount of money to one person and then set the expectation for everybody also. So,
Yeah,
they have their
yeah,
own setup. Let's say today, even prep with Megha, let's say tomorrow as an organization, even if I have to hand out something, There will be a limit to the kind of money that
Yeah,
I can also give as salaries to people. So I really don't blame
definitely.
them, blame any institute or any, not just coaching or any institute. The environment is such that you will have that gap. So if you want to go beyond your cap, then you will have to be double skilled and being able to do that. And yes, as you then correctly said, you may reach 10x, 2x, 20x, but you should also be prepared at what if you don't even meet that 1x. So it works both ways.
Yeah, yeah, that is right. Megha, now, how is life different from the times you worked as a faculty and now you run your own training academy?
It is a totally different experience. Number one, I think I have got more time for myself now. Because earlier for this
Oh,
kind of money, I
great.
was like working both weekends. I was working almost
Okay,
every day because some days some commitment used to be there. And since
right.
I'm also a very passionate worker. So I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Let's do the content also. Let's do teaching also. Let me do the all India webinars also. Let me go and speak at conferences also. So I used to do all kind of work. Like I was not just somebody who used to train just GMAT verbal. So I was doing a bit
Hmm.
of everything at some
Okay,
place or the other.
okay,
And I was totally enjoying that new experience. But then, of course,
right.
yes, that also gave me less time for my personal pursuits and for my personal life and my family life. Now that I started doing my own work, I am able to set my own calendar. And the GMAT private classes gives me that flexibility that I know the student wants an early morning class, but maybe let's say if I can't connect on Monday and Tuesday also works for the student, then maybe I can have Monday morning for my work and then I can connect with the student on Tuesday. So that flexibility for me, especially as a woman, has given me a lot of space to balance both the things in my life and thereby eliminating a lot of stress also. Now I'm able to give time to myself, I'm able to give time to my family, I'm able to relax maybe at some point. Let's say I can have 1 hour in a week, maybe not 1 hour but a half hour, where maybe I don't have to do anything at all. Maybe.
Okay,
Right. But earlier I was working like crazy. So yeah,
right.
time flexibility, and you will not believe what profound impact if you first start exercising more, you spend time with your loved ones more, start hanging out and laughing with them more. It just gives you a lot of peace and it just makes you very sane as a person, and you're not always go 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 go. This just keeps you more grounded and you're just a little happier in long term, I feel. So I think that is the biggest shift that has happened in working for somebody and having the time dictated by them versus having your time dictated to other people.
That's great. I thought you were going to say, you know what, now that I'm running my own academy, I have absolutely no time while working. I had some time at least. But then
Actually,
here it's the other way around.
yeah. Actually, another aspect that I'm enjoying of going private is that now I'm not just doing the teaching work. I'm also
Yeah,
learning how to do social media. So even though I got a
right.
marketing people, but I now I'm learning those things also, which earlier I used to underestimate a lot. And now I realize the value of correct marketing, the value of correct counseling over a call, and a lot of other things as well. So I think earlier my enjoyment came from learning new things about my subject and my content. I think now along with that I'm learning new skill sets also. For example, for
Right.
technology and everything, and I think that just keeps things very exciting for me. What else can I do? How can I improve? Okay, let's try this. Then we try something, we get okay response. Then we try something else, and it just we get so many enrollments. So I think that I'm enjoying that learning experience also.
We will definitely talk a lot more in depth about that business side of things. But before we go there, I have another question out of curiosity. While you were saying when you worked
Hmm.
as a faculty, you not only stuck to training, you did a lot of other things. You said things like content or seminars. Can you walk us through all the other things that you did apart from training, Megha?
See, then apart from training, I also used to deliver admission seminars or GMAT induction seminars also. So I used to be a speaker at those events. I used to also counsel students apart from GMAT, let's say, or CAT, or for that matter. Like students used to come to me, ma'am, this is the problem, that is the problem. And perhaps sitting with the student, maybe at the institute, having a little bit cup of tea with them together for 10 minutes, and then maybe just relieving their anxieties. I was also working on the content because let's say the institutes, whatever material they give, it needs a lot of proofreading and organization. That okay, we are preparing a
Mm,
mock test. Out of so many questions, how can we prepare a mock test? How should we edit it? What are the technical glitches? So all those things also I was doing. I was also interestingly doing the faculty training also. So the hiring that used to happen, so I was on the team of trainers who used to train the new faculties as well. So I trained, I think,
Right.
some decent 32, 33 faculties by the time I resigned. So I have experience of teaching not just the students, but I also have experience of teaching the teachers who will teach the students further. So I
Right.
think that also kind of gave me a lot of sense of how to handle different kind of people. Okay, the way you teach a student and you have a scope sometimes to scold a student, you can't scold a colleague too. But the colleague is responsible for teaching 50 students next week. You can't afford
Right.
him to mess up, right? So how do you deal with those people? How do you put your content across? So I think that gave me a lot more exposure. Also the business side of things, marketing side of things. I think that really gave me the confidence that if I have to go solo, I have more skills and understanding and experience than just the question part of things.
Great. And Megha, from your experience and the things that you've seen, how do you look at this test prep industry? Is it gonna get bigger and bigger, or do you see any major changes coming in?
See, test prep industry is here to stay. That goes without
Okay.
a doubt because people will always study,
Right.
right? People will always study. They may not study for MBA, they might study for some other degree, right?
Okay.
That trend in future might change, okay? But there will always be some need for formal training, always, right? Now, can anybody predict it's going to be GMAT only and MBA? No. For that, we have to adapt with the changing times. But people will
Right.
always study. People will study even more in recession as we learn from COVID times, right? When people got
Yes.
laid off, then people came back to upgrading their skill set, and actually the enrollments and the thirst for knowledge increased actually at that point, right?
Hmm.
So the test prep industry is here to stay. Now, which test prep that is something which will keep on evolving. Now, speaking of
Got it.
that evolution part, even for GMAT or any exam, you will see the format changing where after, let's say, every 3 4 years. Interestingly, for GMAT, they have come out with a GMAT focused edition, which is a little revised version of GMAT. They've made it
Mm-hmm.
shorter. They have made it. They have made the content. They have reduced the content to be prepared, and they're making it more adaptive for an online experience and for accommodating more appointments in general. So the format of the exam will also keep on changing according to the students and the general society. Right. So earlier
Okay.
GMAT used to be a lengthier exam. Now it will become shorter.
Okay.
Okay. Earlier, let's say it used to take students 3 to 4 months to prepare, but now that the content will be reduced, maybe the student can be prepared in just 2 months.
Okay.
So now what will be the longer term impact of it? More and more students would want to take the GMAT.
Hmm.
The good
Right.
part as a business is that we as trainers can expect more enrollments because more people will be encouraged to take that exam.
Yeah.
But the challenge on the other hand will be that since more and more people are going to take that exam, the cutoff expected will also become high. We
Right.
lose sight of that. We just say, oh, it's going to be very encouraging, it's very easy, come, come, come. But then the trainers and the student must not lose sight that now since the competition is more, and let's say a school accepted you at a 710, maybe now they would expect a 720, 730 from you for that same course.
Got it. Got it, Megha. Now, coming to prep with Megha, what was the first step? How did you get your first student? Was it easier because you were in the industry for such a long time? What are the things you did?
I think for me, it kind of became once I think, I'll be very honest, the moment I set that intention that, okay, I am going to do my work solo now, that synergy happened and, all the synchronicities, as they say, that if you have that intention, things start to work out. I had not even finalized the name Prep with Megha. I had not even announced formally, and I got the student through word of mouth. So this was a
Okay.
student who studied from me 3.5 years back. Now he's pursuing his MBA from Oxford. He sent his younger sister. And the younger sister said that, ma'am, I want to study from you and I've studied from XYZ Institute and everything. But I still not understanding. And my brother is saying that go to Megha, ma'am. That student somehow had my number. and he gave that number to his sister, and the sister came to me. So I started teaching her. Then I got more students. So today also, even if we advertise and we use social media, I think the bulk of my enrollments still come from word of mouth. And I think that kind of
Right.
makes me very satisfied also somewhere, that 8 years I have worked, at least there are some people who are happily putting the word out for me without expecting anything in return. I mean, that
Right.
student, not just a sister, but I have students who willingly are saying, "Ma'am, we want to write about your prep with Megha on our bulletin boards or on in the college blogs. That hey, this is a GMAT trainer and she trained me and she's very good. Would you like to start? If you plan to study for GMAT, you can contact her." Students are coming to me willingly and telling me they want to do this. So for me, getting that first student was organic, and I
Right.
think those are the kind of inquiries I was getting earlier, also, to be very frank. But then, because I
Hmm.
was working and I'm a little ethical that way, that if I am working with this, so I will not do my work solo. So I think that kind of, after I taught one student solo, and this happened after I resigned from the companies and everything. Once I taught
Right.
that one student solo, I knew I could do it. And after then, that one became more and more and more.
Okay. Great. Megha, now there are many transitions,
Hmm.
one from a business aspect, and one from let's say before the virus and all those things, before the
Hmm.
pandemic. I
Hmm.
think it was mostly classroom training, right?
Hmm.
And then probably during the pandemic you still worked for academies and you probably did online.
Hmm.
And how have you had to adapt, you know uh, from teaching in a classroom atmosphere
Hmm.
to teaching online?
See, I was doing some kind of online work before COVID also. So before that
Okay.
corona outbreak, I was still involved in some webinars, something. So I knew some technicalities about an online class. But the experience of a live classroom class and an online class, these are very two different experiences. I
Yeah.
think from my side now, because I do my classes mostly online, my endeavor is to give the student the same experience, same content, same personal connection, which I would have given
Right.
in a classroom setting also. I think as a trainer, I feel a change, because when you are sitting with, let's say, 30, 40 students, and all the students are looking at you like this, and listening to you writing, that feel and the satisfaction, the joy, the life feedback that you get from so many students is something else. I think that's the energy that we trainers feed
Energy.
on,
Yeah.
right, with from a
Yeah.
live
Yeah. Yeah.
audience. But in
Yes.
an online session now, we've gotten very used to and very comfortable. I think now somewhere also you can still have that vibe, right? Even now I'm connected with you virtually. I think the emotions are still there. That let's share
Right.
our knowledge, let's share our wisdom with other people, right?
Right.
So now it is still okay. But yes, initially it was a lot of transition. Initially, I remember when the lockdown first happened, there was a lot of skepticism that how is it going to, go on? Is our technology adapted enough to, give the student the same experience as they would have had in classroom? And the students were also skeptical that should we even pay for this much, because we don't know how the online thing will run, and should we wait for the COVID outbreak to die out and then maybe go back to the class? So there's a lot of confusion, lot of chaos, nobody knew what's going to happen. And I think from that place, I think my biggest lessons of entrepreneurship came, that how do you put yourself, how do you keep going when you don't know what is happening, and it is just that you take the next step and then see what happens. In times of unpredictability, you can't have a definitive flowchart. But what you can do is, okay, this is the next logical step, I think. Let me take that logical step and then I'll see from there. So I think that lesson I got, and it was not just from teaching, but from everything around me, that let's take the next step and then see where it goes. So that transition, and also the techno, as a trainer, I was very good in writing on the board and everything.
Yeah.
So personally, for me as a trainer, one major thing that I had to adjust was to get very comfortable with technology.
Right.
Right. So that was one thing. So for that personally, it is not something which will be relevant to all maybe, but for me, to be able to do Zoom classes, to do online classes, seeing myself on the screen also, because one major difference is when you're teaching in the classroom, you're seeing the students. Now you're seeing
Yeah.
yourself also on screen. So in the
Yeah.
initial days, even that used to seem very odd, but then you just get
Right.
a hang of it. And I think that the students also got a hang of it. Students, I think, also did the same, that our deadlines are still there, the institutes are not opening anytime, let's try online. And once
Right.
they tried, and we both the parties had this idea that let's make it work. I think then it worked. And thank God for technology. I think Zoom and all these, video conferencing platforms have been like our saviors, I believe. And
Yeah.
they just kept the world connected, and people were able to share and learn and everything. And kudos to the teachers, not just, I'm not saying for me, but kudos to the entire, I think, all the people who were trying to make things work online, both
Yeah.
teachers and students, particularly if I talk about academia, but all over the world. People who had the determination not to just sit down and give up,
Yeah.
but to make of whatever they had and try to do whatever they can. So I think
Yeah.
that adaptation, adaptation to something new, and being receptive to technology, and not just saying, "Arey, technology is there now, online classes will be there, or it's just going to go," but incorporating everything together. I think all of those, I think, were the major transitions which shifted our industry. Also, I feel the students also now got a good idea and the same experience